Hi everyone, Michael Cavacini here with your free Audible audiobooks for September 2022. So if you are a member of Audible, you will have access to all of these audiobooks for free. If you're not a member, click the link down below for a free trial. I highly recommend that you do the free trial because there's really nothing to lose. It's free and you'll get access to a ton of audiobooks. If you do the Audible Plus free trial, you'll have access to thousands of audiobooks. In addition to that, you'll get credits that you can then spend on audiobooks to own and keep. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're getting ownership of these audiobooks through the credit system, and then through the Audible Plus library, you're getting a rotating set of thousands of audiobooks for you to enjoy. And what I'm about to read to you today are 10 free Audible audiobooks that are part of that library for you to enjoy. So make sure to click that link down below, sign up for the free trial. You won't regret it. I always tell people that, you really should give audiobooks a chance, because if you enjoy podcasts, if you enjoy listening to the radio, if you enjoy anything like that, or just great actors, you're going to enjoy audiobooks. Because a great narrator can take an audiobook from here to here. They really can just take excellent source material and just elevate it to an entirely different level, just making for a fantastic experience. So, what are those 10 books that I'm going to be throwing your way to consider if you are an Audible member or if you're about to sign up for that free trial? Well, the first book is called Unfuck Your Brain. Yes, I know, what a wild title. So, Unfuck Your Brain, a no-nonsense and helpful guide on how to cope with a slew of mental health issues that are all hell-bent on ruining the lives of millions of people worldwide. Our brains do our best to help us out, but every so often they can be real assholes, having meltdowns, getting addicted to things, or shutting down completely at the worst possible moments. Your brain knows it's not good to do these things, but it can't help it sometimes, especially if it's obsessing about trauma it can't overcome. That's where this life-changing book comes in. With humor, patience, science, and lots of good old swearing, Dr. Faith explains what's going on in your skull and talks you through the process of retraining your brain to respond appropriately to the non-emergencies of everyday life, and to deal effectively with old or newly acquired traumas, particularly post-traumatic stress disorder. Sounds like a pretty interesting book to me. Of course, the title is provocative, but based on that summary I just read you, it sounds like it's pretty solid. And the fact that it is free for you to try and listen to, really, you got nothing to lose there. The next book I want to share with you is called Skyward. So Skyward, from Brandon Sanderson, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Reckoners series, Words of Radiance, and the internationally bestselling Mistborn series, comes the first book in an epic new series about a girl who dreams of becoming a pilot in a dangerous world at war for humanity's future. Spence's world has been under attack for decades. Now pilots are the heroes of what's left of the human race, and becoming one has always been Spence's dream. Since she was a little girl, she has imagined soaring skyward and proving her bravery, but her fate is intertwined with her father's, a pilot himself who was killed years ago when he abruptly deserted his team, leaving Spence's chances of attending flight school at slim to none. No one will let Spencer forget what her father did, yet fate works in mysterious ways. Flight school might be a long shot, but she's determined to fly, and an accidental discovery in a long-forgotten cavern might just provide her with a way to claim the stars. Again, another interesting book. That sounds like a very fascinating novel. Next up, The Dispatcher. From master storyteller and Hugo Award winner John Scalzi comes this Audible original novella, winner of the 2017 Audie Award for Best Original Work. Emmy-nominated actor Zachary Quinto, best known for his roles as Nimoy-approved Spock in the Star Trek reboot, and the menacing, power-stealing serial killer Sylar in Heroes, brings his well-earned sci-fi credentials and simmering intensity to this genre-bending thriller. One day, not long from now, it becomes almost impossible to murder anyone. 999 times out of 1,000, anyone who is intentionally killed comes back. How? We don't know, but it changes everything. War, crime, daily life. Enter Tony Valdez, professional dispatcher. True to their name, these licensed assassins are tasked with humanely disposing of people in death's crosshairs to offer them a second chance at avoiding the Reaper. When a friend and fellow dispatcher goes missing, Valdez is plunged into a web of intrigue, both professional and personal. It's a race against time for Valdez to find his friend before it's too late, before not even a dispatcher can save him. Next up is Brave New World. Brave New World is a novel written in 1931 by Aldous Huxley and published in 1932. Set in London in the year AD 2540, the novel anticipates developments in reproductive technology, sleep learning, psychological manipulation, and classical conditioning that combine profoundly to change society. Huxley answered this book with a reassessment in an essay, Brave New World Revisited, 1958, and with Island, 1962, his first novel. In 1999, the Modern Library ranked Brave New World 5th on its list of 100 best English language novels of the 20th century. In 2003, Robert McCrum, writing for The Observer, included Brave New World chronologically at number 53 in the top 100 greatest novels of all time, and the novel was listed at number 87 on the BBC survey, The Big Read. What if the future was a tyranny, but one cleverly person intended to keep the mass of society unaware of this? The person, or the people who would be provided with several distractions, daily life would be ruled by sex and drugs, and pervasive mass media would suppress the possibility of any original thought. In such a society, the ruling elite would not need to fear any kind of rebellion. If you think that Huxley's vision seems to be the way things are, in fact, turning out, you're not the only one. Next up, A Conflict of Visions, Ideological Origins of Political Struggles. In this book, which the author calls a culmination of 30 years of work in the history of ideas, Sowell attempts to explain the ideological difference between liberals and conservatives as a disagreement over the moral potential inherent in nature. Those who see that potential as limited prefer to constrain governmental authority, he argues. They feel the reform is difficult and often dangerous, and put their faith in family, custom, law, and traditional institutions. Conversely, those who have faith in human nature prefer to remove institutional and traditional constraints. Controversies over such diverse issues as criminal justice, income distribution, or war and peace repeatedly show an ideological divide along the lines of these two conflicting visions. Dracula. This is a good one for those of you who are gearing up for spooky season. So because of the widespread awareness of the story of the evil Transylvanian Count and the success of numerous film adaptations that have been created over the years, the modern audience hasn't had a chance to truly appreciate the unknowing dread that readers would have felt when reading Bram Stoker's original 1897 manuscript. Most modern productions employ campiness or sound effects to try to bring back that gothic tension, but that's not the case with this audiobook. By returning to Stoker's original storytelling structure, a series of letters and journal entries voiced by Jonathan Harker, Dr. Van Helsing, and other characters with an all-star cast of narrators, Audible sought to recapture its originally intended horror and power. So who's in this book? Well, you're going to get some spectacular narrators, including Alan Cumming, Simon Vance, Katie Kelgreen, Tim Curry, Simon Preble, James Adams, Nicola Barber, and John Lee, among others. John Lee is fantastic, by the way. If you don't know John Lee, he's narrated a lot of books for Ken Follett, including the Pillars of the Earth books and his Century trilogy. Fantastic narrator. So the fact that you have like Tim Curry, Simon Vance, another excellent narrator, and John Lee all in the same book, come on, you gotta listen to Dracula. Next up, Oil and Marble, a novel of Leonardo and Michelangelo. From 1501 to 1505, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo both lived and worked in Florence. Leonardo was a charming, handsome 50-year-old at the peak of his career. Michelangelo was a temperamental sculptor in his mid-20s, desperate to make a name for himself. Michelangelo is a virtual unknown when he returns to Florence and wins the commission to carve what will become one of the most famous sculptures of all time, David. Even though his impoverished family shuns him for being an artist, he is desperate to support them. Living at the foot of his misshapen block of marble, Michelangelo struggles until the stone finally begins to speak. Working against an impossible deadline, he begins his feverish carving. Meanwhile, Leonardo's life is falling apart. He loses the hoped-for David commission. He can't seem to finish any project. He's obsessed with ungainly flying machine. He almost dies in war. His engineering designs disastrously fail. And he is haunted by a woman he has seen in the market, a merchant's wife whom he is finally commissioned to paint. Her name is Elisa, and she becomes his muse. Leonardo despises Michelangelo for his youth and lack of sophistication. Michelangelo both loathes and worships Leonardo's genius. Oil and Marble is the story of their nearly forgotten rivalry. The story brings early 16th century Florence alive and has entered with extraordinary empathy into the minds and souls of two Renaissance masters. The book is an art history thriller. Sounds pretty interesting, I have to say. I'm not usually a big historical person. I don't know. I just don't. History doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for me. But this sounds like a pretty fascinating book. Next up, Gulf Coast Cottage, Blackbird Beach, Book 1. Escape the Gulf Coast of Florida with Georgia Carpenter as she gets a second chance at life, love, and happiness. In the middle of an awful divorce, 53-year-old Georgia Carpenter finds herself out of luck, time, and money. Then her phone rings with the news that her great-aunt has died and left her a cottage in the Gulf Coast town of Blackbird Beach. Georgia has no idea what awaits her on the other side of Florida, on the other coast of Florida. All she knows is that she has nowhere else to go and no reason to stay where she is. Fortunately for her, life is has far more interesting plans than she ever could have realized, including making the acquaintance of a handsome handyman and getting the chance at a brand new start. Next book is Hell Divers, the Hell Divers series, Book 1. This is a 2016 Audible's Best in Science Fiction winner. It's also New York Times and US Today best-selling series. More than 2 centuries after World War III poisoned the planet, the final bastion of humanity lives on massive airships circling the globe in search of a habitable area to call home. Aging and outdated, most of the ships plummeted back to Earth long ago. The only things keeping the 2 surviving lifeboats in the sky are hell divers, men and women who risk their lives by skydiving to the surface to scavenge for parts and ships desperately needed. When one of the remaining airships is damaged in an electrical storm, a hell diver team is deployed to a hostile zone called Hades. But there's something down there far worse than the mutated creatures discovered on dives in the past, something that threatens the fragile future of humanity. And the last book is Anna Karenina. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Anna Karenina. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm saying it wrong, let me know down below. Anyway, this is Audible's Best 2016 classic. And let's go down here. Leo Tolstoy's classic story of doomed love is one of the most admired novels in the world literature. Generations of readers have been enthralled by the magnificent heroine, the unhappily married Anna Karenina. I know I'm saying that last name wrong. Please let me know down below how to say it. Write it phonetically and let me know. And her tragic affair with dashing Count Vronsky. Maggie Gyllenhaal cites Tolstoy's epic as one of her favorite books of all time, and her love for the literature permeates her performance. This book is a masterpiece not only because of the unforgettable woman at its core and the stark drama of her fate, but also because it explores and illuminates the deepest questions about how to live a fulfilled life. So yes, this book is narrated by Maggie Gyllenhaal. So, just like the Dracula book where you have some celebrities taking part in the narration, this is another one of those situations. So those are 10 books for you to check out if you are an Audible member. And if you're not, again, down below, there's a link for you to take part in a free trial. So click that, sign up, and enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this list of 10 books that are available for you on Audible. Please like this video, share it with your family and friends, and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy listening. Bye.